Hi, this is Trevor Conkergood. Welcome to this week's R&K Software Club's video for the week. And our topic for this week is about how to save a backdrop image with your embroidery design. And so, what you can see on my screen right now is that I have a design that I've created, and I've already made some embroidery on top of the JPEG. So, I'm going to use the button at the bottom on the left-hand side here to toggle or hide, and then show and hide my backdrop image. So notice that there's a backdrop and then I've created embroidery, based on that backdrop, and it's time to save it. And so I can click on my save button and browse to any folder in my computer that I want to. Let's call this truck, and then I'll save the Floriani WAF file. And so really that's all you need to do. The JPEG backdrop is automatically saved as part of your design. And so, for example, if you close it and then at a later time, you go ahead and you open up your design of your truck, you'll notice that the backdrop is not immediately available, right? It just shows you the embroidery stitches. And if you want to turn back on the backdrop, then you'll actually click on the button on the left that says the backdrop tool. And when I click on that button, instantly my backdrop becomes available. And so it actually does automatically save I guess it's the reference of where the backdrop is, but it's not immediately available in the design until you click on the button for the backdrop tool. And so if you don't know, the backdrop tool button is how you can select your backdrop at any time. So if I needed to I guess, edit my backdrop, I would want to select it first. And notice that when I'm using my normal embroidery tools, like the select tool, that I can select the embroidery stitches, but I cannot actually select the background image. So if you need to sort of work with your background image, you come to the left and there's really two tools. One says backdrop tool, and then down a little further, there's the toggle view. So that's the on off one for seeing it. But if you want to select it, it's the upper one. And once it's selected, there would be a variety of options. For example, if I right click, I have a menu and I could delete the backdrop. Maybe you want to use another one and you need to sort of, get rid of this one. You can delete it, or you can click load, which would actually just give you the ability to select and bring in a whole new backdrop. And now my backdrop is no longer the backdrop of the truck, it's the backdrop of the uh, dragonfly. And I guess the thing to learn there is you can only have one backdrop at a time. And so I could put that backdrop wherever I wanted it to. And if I click save on my design right now and close it, then notice if I open my design at a later time, um, obviously the backdrop does not immediately display, but if I click on the backdrop tool, it sure enough is there. And so that is how you can save your backdrops with your design. There are other options within your backdrop right-click menu, such as define scale or define horizon. And those are sort of like two-click ones. If you wanted to say define horizon, I could click and drag to say, that the direction of the wings becomes the new horizon line. So you can use that to, I guess, rotate, because of course, you have the handle for rotating as well. If I right click and I say define dragonfly's wings, and it will tell me how long they are currently. And I could decide, if I knew the correct size, I could type it in. If you were like, well, that's supposed to be 1 inch, I type in 1 and say, okay. And now it makes the dragonfly just the right size. So again, you right click, and this is where you can load a new backdrop, or you could load a magic block. So that would be only available for people that have the Floriani Total Quilter, I guess, add-on software. The magic block makes reference to quilt block artwork. Um, delete the backdrop. This would be for scanning and working with a scanner. This would be working with your graphics program to edit your backdrop. But generally speaking, the question we often get is, how do you save the backdrop? And the good news is they automatically get saved. And so, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. I guess you might have one more question on that. Could be, how do you add a backdrop onto your workspace? And there are several ways to do that, but one of them would be your backdrop tool. When you click on there, in an empty design, you get the option of opening up a magic block. Again, that's from Total Quilter, or a backdrop. And when I choose backdrop, then it'll automatically go to my backdrop library. But of course, you can change the location of this folder to be anywhere on your computer. But whatever you choose will become your backdrop. Another way to add a backdrop to your workspace is up at the top, we have our backdrop library. This is another way to interact with your backdrop tool. You click on the backdrop library, you select your new backdrop and say okay, and it's going to swap the one that was there. And finally, you can just use the browser and library and designs tab. And if you have a JPEG image in your designs tab, you can just click and drag to bring that onto your workspace. And so that's how you can add a new backdrop onto your workspace. And then when you save your design, it is automatically referenced for you to easily turn it on by just clicking on your backdrop tool. And so we hope you enjoyed this week's RNK Software Club's video for the week. Until next week, have a great day. Thanks for listening, and bye for now.